Otto Rank, quote, "Although it is customary to say that scientific psychology originated with Aristotle, who first interpreted dreams psychologically, a thorough history of psychology should cover all aspects of man's mental life from its beginning. Pre-scientific and non-scientific psychology has always been the true psychological discipline and the source of all psychologies, including those that study the soul scientifically. Scientific psychology, which seems to know very little about the soul, claims to seek the truth about it, but rejects the contributions of ancient beliefs, religion and myths to its interpretation. It performs experiments which seem always to prove that the soul does not exist, and it lets the more tolerant science of ethnology perform what constructive research it can. Psychoanalysis claims this neglected area of psychology as its own, but it brings in its materialistic psychology to explain the soul instead of first trying to relate its mental concepts to the spiritual sources which generated them. Our present task, therefore, is not to apply psychoanalysis or any other modern psychology to this problem, but to investigate the principles which govern the soul concept as the source and object of psychological study. Our approach necessarily will be genetic and not historical." I think that is the perfect lens to look at almost everything to do with humanity, what's going on currently. True. Okay. Fascinating stuff. If we're going to study human beings, we cannot just take a slice of that human, be it their thinking, be it their biological movements, or their mind, their brain. Okay, you have to take the whole thing together. That means going back and panning for gold, essentially, amongst all of the offerings that people have always handed down through customs and through books and through music and through all of that sort of stuff. You cannot get away with just approaching your life or human beings' life or society as a whole through just one narrow lens. Okay, you cannot get away with that, and you're seeing the results of that. In order to make sure or to assure that most people are striving to be good, striving to honor and hone their own nature, you have to approach society, your everyday living, and all aspects of humanity through as varied a lens as possible in order to try and account for every single thing that humanity brings with it. Okay? And psychology suffers and psychology loses, and we suffer immensely when we try and reduce what it is to be human into this or that other belief system. Okay? Humanity suffers as a result of that. So the Bob Dylan thing, don't criticize what you don't understand. Okay? So if something is unfamiliar to you and it sounds a bit silly or ludicrous, it doesn't mean you write it off automatically, because there might be something in that you can learn from, or that can teach you something. Okay? So great quote from a really solid thinker, and someone who's kind of thinking we could do a lot more of today. You know, he seems to branch out into loads of different fields and areas and never gets bogged down into one system of thinking, which I think is really helpful.